Hello, 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 sellers. It's Kathy, and I love to be selling. And I do love to be selling, but let me tell you what I got in my inbox today from eBay. I was like, you have got to be kidding. Talk about lousy timing, eBay. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So come on in, come on in, come on in. And you know me, I take the high road, but this one really, I was just like, you just got to be kidding. So let's talk about eBay fees because that's what the email was about. And I'm going to read it to you word for word. So, hi, Sharon, how are you? So that you will see what I'm talking about. So, if you're not aware of it, eBay has a program called Promoted Listings. Promoted Listings is run by eBay Advertising. It is advertising. You are paying eBay to promote your listing in eBay search. There's three versions of promoted listings. There's Promoted Listings Express, where you can have your auctions promoted in search. Promoted Listings Standard, which is what most sellers use, and it's what the change is about. And Promoted Listings Advanced, which is a pay-per-click model, quite advanced. I'm not going to talk about that. And it doesn't impact that. So that's good news. The change was to Promoted Listings Standard. And Promoted Listings Standard is the promoted listings that most sellers use. Promoted Listings Standard, if you're not aware of it, because it is different from advertising on some other platforms that you can sell on. Promoted Listings Standard, you are paying eBay a fee that you choose, but that's changed a little bit. And I'll talk about that in a second. You only pay eBay the fee when somebody clicks the item, buys the exact item that they click on within 30 days. And that's an important number. And I'm going to talk about that a bit too. Within 30 days of the initial click, a cookie is placed on that buyer. So eBay knows that they have clicked that item from the item being in a promoted positions. And the way you know an item is in a promoted position, if you're on eBay, when you see an item with the word sponsored on it, it means that seller has paid to have their item promoted. Okay. So just for you to know, yay, I just got a cha-ching. Like eBay going, Kathy, we love you. So now, and people, for the most part, love promoted listings. Okay. And just to talk about advertising for a second, it is very standard now on sites. I actually went to a big Amazon conference recently. If you don't know, I live in New York City, and there was a big Amazon conference in Brooklyn. And I'm an invited guest every year. I love going. I learn a lot. I love talking to Amazon sellers because I love talking to sellers, and we all learn from each other. And just for you to know, and these are all big Amazon sellers, is not one of them, and I talked to a bunch of sellers, not one of them would sell on Amazon without doing extensive advertising. It is extremely commonplace, just for you to know, on Amazon. And they're like, if you want to achieve a certain level of success, it's something they all had in common. I mean, they have different strategies for other things, but they all advertise on Amazon. And some very expensive programs. So just to say that up front. So advertising on sites is the norm now. It was not the norm several years ago. It is the norm now. This is true on Etsy. This is true on eBay. Okay, this is true on Amazon. Not on Poshmark yet. I say yet, but it is true on the other big sites. So Promoted Listing Standard is the most widely used. If you listen to what is called the earnings call, so eBay is a publicly traded company. It's on the stock exchange. It has what is called earnings calls. They're done at the end of each quarter. And then eBay this year also did an event called Investor Day. So eBay is a publicly facing company that has investors and people that are investing in it that it speaks to. And the reason why these earnings calls are very interesting to listen to, and I do listen to them, and I also listen to Investor Day, is what eBay is saying about eBay. So eBay is a for-profit business. They need to make a profit. It keeps the stockholders happy. It keeps everybody happy. eBay needs to make money. That's why eBay likes us to sell. We sell, we make money, eBay makes money. A huge revenue driver, there's two big revenue drivers for, well, actually three. One is our sales. But another one is managed payments. And that's a very good reason why eBay has taken over the payment system, because they're making money processing that rather than having another company process that. And promoted listings. And again, this is not a big surprise. Like Amazon has various ways that they're making money besides the sale from the items, advertising being a huge one. So this is not a big surprise. But in these earnings calls, promoted listings is consistently called out. And it is growing steadily. I mean, I've heard Jamie call it out, Jamie Iannone, eBay CEO. Like the past 3 earnings calls, I've heard him call out promoted listings by name. eBay makes a lot of money from promoted listings. And with everything going on, they're looking to keep their revenues going. One of the ways they do that is promoted listings. So, and also, in case you haven't noticed, with eBay listings, because years ago there was a lot with listing fees. If you're not aware of this, you had a certain amount of pictures. If you had extra pictures, you had to pay for extra pictures. eBay now gives us 12 pictures. When you ran auctions, there would be a fee depending on how much you started your auction at, which is why people would start very low auctions and they would put reserves on. It was because the fees varied depending on what the starting fee is. And that has changed. So there's things with listing fees that are much better. But now we have promoted listing fees, okay? To promote our item in search, it is optional, but it's one of those things that's optional, but it pays to do it. Let's just put it that way. And it's becoming more commonplace on eBay. So June 1st, 2022, they changed the way they charge for promoted listing standard. In the past, it was the item price. So if your item was one price and then you were charging shipping, you were only charged the promoted listing fee on the item price. This was particularly nice for sellers that have heavy items, because let's say the shipping is $30, $40, $50. The promoted listing fee was only on the item price if you charged for shipping. If it was free shipping, there was no change for you as of June 1st. Also, the change as of June 1st, if you were on one coast or another, like I'm in New York, and I ship to California a lot. So for my California shoppers, for heavier items, I would be doing calculated shipping because, it's going to be cheaper for people that are near me and more expensive for people further away. Before June 1st, for my promoted listing fee would just be on the item price, not on the shipping. And then June 1st, that changed. It's the entire item. It's the item and the shipping. And again, people that sell lighter items, people in the middle of the United States, it's more advantageous. So that changed, and people are still sort of digesting that. Because for some people, I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, you sort of laugh if you don't cry, right? It was a big change for some people. Because if your items were heavier, or if you're on one of the other coasts, and the other thing, like for people that are in the South, like if you're Texas, if you're Louisiana, if you're Mississippi, and you ship north a lot, you ship like to Illinois, Indiana, Northern California, Washington, New England, you'd be getting the same kind of thing, okay? So for a lot of people, their promoted listings standard fees went up for people that were doing calculated shipping. And we're charging their shoppers the shipping because all of a sudden now the item price was everything. And that just rolled out 2 weeks ago. So people are sort of like, okay, we're sort of getting used to this. And my caution to people was, this is what it is. eBay is in a business to make money. This is what they've chosen to do. What my job is now is to really keep an eye on my fees and make sure that I'm sourcing things and selling things that have a decent enough margin, which means profit after you're paying everything, that have a decent enough margin that I can absorb this. For some people, it might mean that certain things you're not going to carry anymore. You know what I mean? You're just going to put it in a yard sale and get rid of it, or you might create lots. Okay. You really got to watch your margins. For other people, it's fine. It really didn't impact them. A lot of people, they ship a lot of light things. They don't ship a lot of heavy things. It wasn't a big change. And this is what startled me, because that just rolled out 2 weeks ago. To me, that's pretty recent, and it's a pretty big change to all of a sudden go, hey, now we're including shipping and everything else. And now I get an email today from eBay. Thank you, eBay, saying the following. We are continuously evaluating the performance and impact of promoted listing standard as a tool to drive seller success. As part of this work, effective July 11th, we'll be changing the minimum ad rate for promoted listing standard from 1 to 2%. That means as of July 11th, you will not be able to do a 1% promoted listing standard if you've been doing that. You will have to be at 2% or higher. We recognize this impacts your business. Oh, yes. This change will ensure your campaigns remain competitive in reaching buyers in our growing marketplace, yada, yada, yada. So basically, if your promoted listing standard rate is 3-4%, this doesn't impact you at all because you're already at 3 and 4%. You're not at 1%. But for sellers that are at 1%, and some did that. Why? Because they were at 2 and 3%. eBay just changed it June 1st, and I'm wondering if a lot of sellers changed it. And they were a little concerned, like, I want to make sure I still stay profitable in my business. So I'm going to take that promoted listings rate that I've had at 2, 3, or 4%, and I'm going to bump it down a bit because I have heavy shipping, because I do calculated shipping that I charge my buyers, and I am concerned about my promoted listings fee. Well, now, as of July 11th, the lowest promoted listing standard percentage you'll be allowed to charge is 2%. Okay. And this is the reason why I'm streaming with you guys is yada, yada, yada. What are they saying? They're going to roll out the new feature. Next steps. And this is why I'm going to sort of warn you guys. We encourage you, thank you, eBay, to adjust your ad rates that are below 2% on or before July 11th to 2% or higher so that your promoted listings can continue to appear in advertising placements across the network. Okay? If you decide not to make any changes, your listings are active, but they're not promoted. So if you are at 1% before July 11th, you're going to want to bump it up to 2% or higher, or your items will no longer be in a promoted listings position. They won't have the word sponsored on it. They're still there because I can see people turning this into, oh, eBay's going to hide my listings. No, but you will not be in the promoted position. But this is to give you a word on this. It's not till July 11th. Now, I do not recommend that on July 10th, all of a sudden you take all your 1% and bump it to 2%. Why? Because it can take like a day or two for the eBay algorithms to sort of register what's going on. Also, if thousands, hundreds of thousands of sellers are doing it, it might get a little interesting on eBay. Do I recommend doing it now? It's June 13th. No. If you want to, go for it. But this is the thing about promoted listings. So let's say I go to 2% or 3%. When they click on it, that's the rate they pay. Okay. So if you stay at 1%, like at least for another week or two, then if they buy it, even if they buy it, the beginning of July or second week of July, it's 30 days from the initial click. And that's the rate they pay. So if the rates are going up July 11th, I'm thinking, maybe like Independence Day is an easy one to remember, but like beginning of July, I think definitely beginning of July. And if you know too, you can easily do it. You go into your promoted listings dashboard. You can pull your campaigns up. You don't need to go through and do your items individually. You can do an entire campaign and change the rate for the entire campaign. I encourage you to do it that way, or it's going to be a lot of work. So again, my sellers that do 4% or higher, or 3% or higher, or 2% or higher, you are fine. It's my sellers that are at 1%. Okay. Is eBay wants you to go to 2% or higher by July 11th. Do not wait till the last minute. Definitely keep an eye on your margins. And I did some math. So 1% of a $20 item, and that's including shipping, is 20 cents. Doesn't sound like a lot. 2% is 40 cents. But if you have tight margins, if you're only making $4 or $5, $15, $20. Whatever you're paying promoted listings. So let's say you're paying them, $1, it's going to $2. Let's say you're paying them $2, it's going to $4. So once again, it changed June 1st to include shipping. Now there is no more 1%. Now my 2% people, so you're like, oh, good, Kathy, I'm at 2%. Keep an eye on the results from your 2% campaigns, because all of a sudden you're going to have hundreds of thousands of sellers that have been at 1% come up to your level. And it might impact you as far as impressions and page views. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. So if you've been doing 2%, this is my bonus tip for you. Again, this is all happening around July 11th. So just sort of keep an eye on things. It always takes eBay a day or two. You're good before you're going to see some data. I would definitely be checking my data at the end of July, beginning of August. I know I will, and I'll be doing it with my members. If you've been having very low rates, if you've been around 2% and doing well, yay, just keep an eye on it, because you're going to get a lot of company as of July 11th. So that's my word to you, is no more 1%. And I know there are a lot of people that do counsel a blanket 1% on all eBay listings. I'm from the school of test and see what works for you. On some items, if the going rate is 10 or 11%, 1% is unlikely to get you pretty much any kind of results. If the going rate, they call it the suggested rate, I think is now what it's called. If the suggested rate is 10 or 11%, you really want to be looking at like 3%, maybe 4%. You know what I mean? It's like, again, you sort of want to go on the low side because you're concerned about your margins, but 1% when the going rate is 10 is rough. Okay. But my 2% people really do be careful, because a lot of people are going to be bumping up to 2%. Now, if the going rate is 3%, 4%, 2% is fine. Absolutely, it's fine. And again, if the going rate is like 5%, I think 2% is good. Again, always look at what is your impressions and your page views. Page views when they come in and look at your item. Okay. Impressions is it's flying by. They see you. It's like, there she goes. Okay. Page views, they are looking at your item. Okay. So rates are going up again. Oh, eBay. But they are for profit. eBay's got to, keep making the money. And very simply, the way they make money is seller fees. Okay. And for us, that's going to be insertion fees, final value fees, promoted listing fees. It's the nature of the animal. Thankfully, we're not paying for extra pictures anymore. Thankfully, there's no big changes in auctions anymore. But where we're getting hit right now is promoted listings standard. So watch it. Don't be changing it July 10th. I do not think that's a good idea. Do you need to change it now? I don't think so. But if you feel more comfortable changing it now, go for it. I would definitely say like the beginning of July, you want to start changing and making sure everything's up at 2%. Because when July 11th hits, you want to make sure that eBay knows that all your campaigns are at 2% or better. Okay, that's what you want. Because what they're saying is, yes, your items are listed. So don't be listening to people that say, oh, eBay's going to hide your listings if you don't give them the money. No, but you will not get the sponsored position in search. And that sponsored position is many places on eBay. And if you don't shop on eBay, you should, because you'll see what I'm talking about. It's at the checkout. It's like, oh, you bought this. Don't you want this? There's a lot of places eBay shows your item off that's very attractive. So watch your margins. Keep an eye on your fees. They're going to go up again July 11th. No more 1%. Decide, and I'm a big queen of Google Calendar. Everybody, if you don't know, talk to my members. I love Google Calendar. Put it in so that you take the time to go into your promoted listings if you do have 1% and get them bumped up. I would do it early July. Okay, July 4th is a good day to remember. July, Independence Day. And because of all of this, more than ever, it is important to have an optimized eBay listing. Yes, we're paying eBay money, yay eBay, to promote our item so it gets found by shoppers. But also there's a lot that we can do to optimize our listings so it gets found by shoppers. So hop over to my website, ilovetobeselling.com, and you're going to click on free tips. And when you click on free tips, what you're going to be looking for, and you're welcome to grab any of them, but the one I was going to encourage you to grab is eBay listings that sell, because that's what we're interested in, right? I don't want to just list it. I want to get it sold, because I give you a lot of tips to optimize your listing. That means it stands out to shoppers. It will help me to rank well in search. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Promote a Listing Standard. I think it's great. Yes, put my items in Promote a Listing Standard, but make sure my item is optimized so it also does well as far as what is called organic or free search. You're welcome, Marianne. Renee said, I had it at 2 to 4%, but never cost me more than 39 cents. Perfect. I changed all the listings to 1%. The one that sold with 1% cost 57 cents. Probably because of the calculated shipping thing, right? So now for Renee, and again, it's middle of June. And again, don't forget traveling, family, all these things that go on. Put it in your Google Calendar. If you've got a lot going on in July, change it now. The 1 or 2 weeks with the 1% more, it's better to get it done. If you're like, nope, I'm going to hang in there for a couple weeks and not bump it till the beginning of July, good. The one thing I do caution you is don't be doing it July 10th. Just don't do that. Beginning maybe the 5th or the 6th, but I wouldn't wait till the last minute. Okay, you guys? So yes, Promote a Listing Standard is going up as of July 11th. There will be no more 1%. It will be 2% on more on all campaigns. But do the math again. 1% of $20 is 20 cents. So if it's a $20 item with shipping, at 2% of that would be 40 cents. But we all have different businesses. We've all got our margins, especially for my sellers with higher ticket items. Just watch it because it adds up. But again, look at what the suggested rate is. If it's 4%, you're fine with 2. Of course, eBay wants 4, but you're fine with 2. But if it's 10 and you've only been giving them 1, you might want to bump it up a little bit and get better results. Okay. And those are my tips for you. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.